From Washington, this is VOA News. President Obama to unveil his unilateral immigration plan. France deploying more fighter jets against Islamic State militants. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. The White House says President Barack Obama will address the nation Thursday night to announce details about an executive action he's taking on immigration reform. Reports say the plan will eliminate the threat of deportation for 5 million undocumented immigrants, strengthen border security, and broaden assistance to undocumented residents who were brought to the United States as children. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says his country will not open its bases to the U.S.-led coalition fighting the Islamic State group until his demands are met. Dorian Jones reports.
President Erdogan, addressing reporters before leaving for Algeria Wednesday, ruled out the use of key air bases by anti-Islamic State forces unless Turkey's demands are met in the war against the militants.
Sadece bazı emareler var, ihtimaller var gibi.
The international community has not yet taken the steps we have recommended, he says. Mr. Erdogan also warned that an agreement to train Syrians to fight against the Islamic State still has not been finalized. The diplomatic pressure on Ankara will continue, with US Vice President Joe Biden due to visit Istanbul at the end of the week. Dorian Jones, Istanbul.
France is sending 6 fighter jets to the Middle East to increase its airstrikes against Islamic State targets in Iraq. The 6 Mirage jets will be based in Jordan to reinforce French aircraft already in the region. French officials also say they've now identified a second Frenchman in an Islamic State video showing the severed head of an American aid worker and the beheadings of at least 18 Syrian soldiers. This is VOA News. Russia's foreign minister is calling on Ukraine's government to hold direct talks with separatists to end their 7-month conflict. In a speech Wednesday before the State Duma, the lower house of Russia's parliament, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called for the establishment of stable contacts between Kiev and pro-Russian rebels in eastern Ukraine, with a goal of reaching mutually acceptable agreements. However, in Kiev, Ukraine's Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk said his government would not hold negotiations with what he called Russian terrorists. Russian President Vladimir Putin says that his country wants a relationship with the United States based on respect, a day after accusing the U.S. of seeking to subdue Russia. Speaking at a Kremlin ceremony during which a group of new ambassadors to Russia presented their credentials, Mr. Putin said Russia is ready for practical cooperation with the United States based on respect for each other's interests, equal rights, and non-interference in internal affairs. The new U.S. ambassador to Russia, John Teft, was among diplomats who presented credentials to President Putin. A World Bank official says the Ebola epidemic will not be as costly to the West African economy as previously feared, thanks to effective containment efforts. Francisco Ferreira, the bank's chief economist for Africa, says he expects the cost of the epidemic to be between $3 and $4 billion. Last month, the World Bank said the economic impact could be as high as $32 billion if the virus spread significantly outside the borders of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. The UN warns that conflict and insecurity in Africa's Sahel region are worsening the humanitarian crisis there. Lisa Schlein has details.
The humanitarian problems afflicting the 9 countries in the Sahel are enormous. The United Nations reports 25 million people in the region do not have enough to eat. It says 6.4 million children are acutely malnourished, and half of the 1.2 million children under age 5 who die each year are dying from malnutrition-related causes. Most worrisome of all, it says, is the fear that West Africa's Ebola epidemic might take hold in the region. Senegal, which has had one case of Ebola and no deaths, has successfully stopped the disease from spreading. But Mali, which has confirmed a fifth case of Ebola, remains on high alert. Lisa Schlein for VOA News, Geneva.
At least 6 people have died in a once-in-a-lifetime winter storm, which is about to get worse. The northeastern U.S. city of Buffalo, New York, is buried under more than 1.5 meters of snow and can expect as much as another meter by nightfall Thursday. Winter is officially still another month away. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.